What's up everybody, Matt Van Pelt with VPSM here again. Just wanted to make a video for the hopeful pros out there who don't really know what the lifestyle is like. I just want to take this time to make a few things clear to you, make you aware of some things that you might not know about the overseas lifestyle. First thing is visas. You can actually get deported if you don't have your visas figured out. This happened to me once in Europe. I didn't necessarily get deported, but I had to leave the country because I couldn't stay there any longer because the team messed up my visa. So just always make sure you have your visa set. Figure that out with the team before you go there, before you leave for the country that you're going to play in. Second is that this is pretty obvious, but you can get cut, and that's really something that can get you and catch you off guard sometimes. But it's really just the hardest part about playing professional basketball is if you don't produce, they'll let you go. I was just playing in Indonesia, and in the IBL they cut a handful of guys, and then in Thailand I've seen one team that cut 5 guys in the same season. And a lot of these guys are big name players who can produce, but if they're not the right fit for the team, they might let you go. So just always come in with a mindset that you're going to work hard and you're going to be ready before the season starts. Don't come in out of shape. Really, if you're a professional basketball player, you should never be out of shape. You should always be ready to go if you're in the overseas lifestyle, because you never know when you're going to get a call. So just be ready and just know that you're fighting for your job every day. If you're at a lower league, this isn't usually the case, but the higher the league you get into, then the higher the chance you could get cut, because expectations are higher, the pressure is higher at the higher levels that you play at. Next is that your income can be inconsistent. If you're playing professional basketball in one country, your season ends, and now you just start job hunting again, you're not going to get paid. All right, if you're in the off season, you're not going to get paid from most teams unless you have a 12-month contract, which is rare. You're not always going to get paid in the off season, so that's why I recommend having a side hustle. Have something else that you're doing while you play, another way of making money so you can save for that future. Because a lot of guys, they'll play, make a couple thousand a month, they won't play for a few months, they'll have no money, then they'll play for a few months, get a couple thousand a month at some of these lower leagues, and then it's just inconsistent and they can't build and save for their future. And a lot of people, when they play professional basketball, they're not building anything toward a work resume for the future, or if they're not really trying to connect and they're only thinking about basketball, then they might return to an entry-level job. You might be in your 30s, moving back to the United States or Europe or wherever you're from, trying to get an entry-level job. So you're already behind your peers who might be saving up, starting their careers and building their lives. So I recommend having a side hustle so you can make money year-round as well as make money from playing basketball. Also, some teams pay late, some teams don't pay at all, some teams have money issues, some teams have sponsorship issues. This is something you need to research before you go to a team. If they have a bad reputation, then I would be hesitant to sign with a team that has a bad reputation or has been known to cut guys out of their checks before. Some teams might pay you half, or they'll pay you a month later than they should. It's very unprofessional, but realistically it happens. All right, there's so many leagues and so many teams and so many countries that not all of them are run very professionally. So that's always a possibility, and sometimes it happens when you least expect it. It's happened to me before. Thought I was on a great organization, I got paid late. They paid me half my salary one month, kept making excuses, kept throwing out things here and there why I wasn't coming in, and eventually it comes in way later when you maybe were counting on that money. So have a side hustle, do your research on your teams, make sure you're going to get paid on time, make sure you demand your pay. But yeah, be aware of who you're signing with before you do. Also, a lot of teams will pay in cash if you're not there on a work visa or a sports visa. Some teams will give you a bank account, others won't. Others will just pay you in cash. So a lot of times either you're carrying around a boatload of cash, and you might not want that if you're hopping from country to country with cash in hand on you. So be aware that you might have to send money home, and that does come with a lot of fees if you don't have a great way to do it. If you're Western Unioning it, that has a lot of fees, so just be aware of that as well. You need ways to get that to your American bank account, and so just be aware of that. You'll get paid in cash in hand a lot. So if you don't want that, if you want a bank account or in a different country, or if you want money wired to you, try to set that up with the team ahead of time. Also, as far as team atmosphere, one thing to be aware of, especially if you're coming from a college basketball team, a lot of colleges have that family feel. I mean, you're living with the guys that you're playing with, you're growing with them for 4 years, and when you're 18 to 22, which is where you're kind of growing up as a young man and finding yourself with your teammates, they can have a family atmosphere. And playing professionally, you can also get that if you're with a great organization, got great teammates, but it's also rare to get that great family atmosphere with a team. This is professional basketball, so a lot of guys are stat stuffing because they're trying to fight for their careers. They're trying to score at least 20 points a game so they'll get recognized and they'll get more jobs. Sadly, that's the realistic business that it is that people are trying to put up numbers so that they can keep playing. So guys might be looking out for you less and looking out for themselves more. Guys might be gambling on games. I've had plenty of teammates actually who have bet to cover a spread, bet to lose a game so they'll get paid, especially if your team has money issues. All right, they might need to find some way to get money, so they're going to gamble on it so they can get that money. And it's pretty sad, but it does happen, and that's just something to be aware of. And some leagues are even rigged. I mean, there's a lot of skepticism and rumors. You don't always know for sure, but sometimes you do. There's leagues that are rigged. Maybe refs are getting paid, coaches are paying somebody. The owner of the league also owns some of the teams. Players are betting on games. All that stuff happens. All right. Obviously, not every league. A lot of leagues are ran professionally, and that never happens. But some leagues, that is the case. So just be aware of it. Don't get involved with it, because then you can get blackballed from the league if you get caught. I know some leagues that have sent guys to jail for doing that. So just be aware of that. Also know that living conditions might not always be westernized. I remember I had a job once where I was living down some back alley where nobody spoke English. They were cutting heads off of chickens, and it was just a cultural experience for me. It wasn't the place I was staying wasn't great. The shower hardly dripped any water out of it. That was a rare case. I've been fortunate to have some great places and great setups where I've played at, but that was one, and that is definitely possible. So if you're not with that, if you want to make sure you're in a good setup, make sure you get that in your contract ahead of time. All right, make sure you're living comfortably the way you want to be living. Unless you want a unique, challenging experience, then just by all means go for it. But if you want to make sure you got a 2-bedroom apartment, whatever it is, make sure you got your Wi-Fi, your air conditioning, everything you need. Set that up with the team ahead of time. Also, just know that if you're going to keep getting jobs, you'll be living out of a suitcase. It can be harder to accumulate things if you don't have a home. It can be harder to just build up clothes, build up a closet, have a car. It kind of puts the normal life on hold. There's no need to have a car if you're never using it, if you're just bouncing from country to country. It can be harder to start a family. If anybody wants to have kids, you might have to put that on hold. Hanging with your friends from back home doesn't happen as much. You got to be comfortable with long-distance relationships. Starting your own home can be put on hold. You might miss things. You might miss weddings at home. You might miss loved ones having kids. You might miss holidays. That's just something you have to be okay with. And you have to figure out how to manage if you're going to play overseas. Like I said, you have to be comfortable living in a suitcase. Also, your phone number might change all the time, so make sure your contacts, make sure your people are aware of that. Because if you're playing in one country, then you switch countries, you're going to get a new SIM card. All right, if you want to be able to have internet on the go. So I recommend getting WhatsApp or Viber or Line or WeChat or any of these apps that kind of you can keep the same number no matter what country you're in. But you should always make people aware of what your phone number is if you care to stay in touch with people. Yeah, you should also alert your bank if you're switching countries so that your card can always work. I've had it happen where I couldn't use my card in a certain country because they thought it was somebody that had stolen my card, my bank, and then shut it down. So always alert your bank when you're hopping around different countries, or if you can, put an alert of multiple countries on your card. If you might go to this country, you might go to that one, just put it on your card just in case. Tell your bank that. Also, just know that playing overseas can hurt your life balance. You might not get to do as much stuff in life if you're just focused solely on traveling and improving your craft and being the best basketball player or coach or whatever it is that you might be. You might not get to see your friends and family as much. Like I said, you might not get to study this, study that, get a job in that field, get a job in this field. No matter what it is, just know that it can hurt your life balance. There's ways around that. That's not everybody. But for a lot of people, that's just something to be aware of. So all this stuff are just things I hope that can resonate with you, and know that it's a glorious, unique lifestyle, but it's not always as perfect as it seems. It comes with a lot of challenges. It's a very unique life to play overseas and bounce around all the time. And just know that this is not to discourage you. This video is not to discourage you. It's just to make you aware of some things. I'll also make a future video about some of the obvious pros of playing professional basketball and some of the great things to the lifestyle. That's going to come next. But right now I just want to make this video to highlight a few things that you might not think about all the time. You might not know what the lifestyle's like. So hopefully some of these things can give you a little direction, a little insight onto what it's like to play overseas. But in the meantime, just keep networking, keep grinding, and keep working for your dreams.